Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the greatest show on the radio waves, The Turnaround, hosted by yours truly, Art Turner, presented by D.A.T.A Productions. We're giving you episode 2, Super Bowl 52 Spectacle Special. Oh my goodness. I am so juiced. Super Bowl 39 rematch between the Philadelphia Eagles, my Birds, versus the New England Patriots. It's about to go down, y'all. It's about to go down. And so, episode 2, like I said, I'm going to get right into the action. Now, if this is your first time going on the turnaround, check out episode 1. I talk about the NFC and AFC championship game, and I give it intro to who I am, why do I have this show, and my vision for the show, and things along those lines. So peep that if you have not seen the first episode. But I'm about to get in episode 2. And so for the outline of the show, I like to give it to you guys so you can get your mind right for what we're about to talk about. Like I said before, on the turnaround, we come at different angles. We're not going to always hit the same pathways that all the other platforms out there in the media waves hit. We like bringing up news stories and things along those lines. So, for the outline of the show, we're going to draw historical parallels between ancient Roman times with the Colosseum battles and then America with the NFL today. Then we're going to get into the comparison between Tom Brady, and then if you eliminate Spartacus out of the equation, the single greatest gladiator to ever fight in the ancient Roman Empire. We're going to get into that comparison. I can't wait. And then we're actually get into some of the analysts of the game. So let's just get right into it. Super Bowl 52 Spectacle Special. Okay, so like I said in the outline, we're going to talk about the historical context and parallels of things. So the first thing I wanted to bring up is the context of the NFL, Tom Brady, and the New England Patriots on, a worldly historical scale and what they're doing in regards to what's being put in the history books to be remembered 100, 200, 300 years down the line. So that's when I'm going to bring up the ramifications of what their success means to, humanity as a whole in the sports, athletic, entertainment industry. So I want to get right into it. So when you think about the world's known history, with studying, you start to realize the same themes from our humanity seem to pop up in various packages throughout time. One theme is, the natural selfish nature of a human being. The desire to have more than the other person, whether it be cattle, land, money, or overall empires. But, that's for another podcast. That's for my Dream Scheme podcast. So go peep that out. D.A.T.A Productions, Dream Scheme podcast. I host that one too. We get nitty gritty in that one as well. But back to it. So like I said, the natural selfish nature of human beings keeps popping up throughout history. Now, another theme that keeps popping up, and this is a sports podcast, I might add you, is athletic entertainment. It is intertwined into the fabric of humanity as much as, the practice of religion is. Sports competition of all kinds have been around since the start. And some sports were bigger than others. And that's where I bring my parallels in to USA, NFL, and then ancient Roman times with the Colosseum battles. In their respective times, they were very popular, very entertaining. People loved it. So I think it's going to be a really good comparison. So let's get into it. So before I get into the parallels of the NFL and ancient Roman times, there's a couple things I want to preface about the old times. So for the ancient Roman sport of, gladiator battles, gladiator games lasted for about 1,000 years. The first Roman gladiator games were around 264 BC And obviously, these gladiators were slaves at the time. And in the prime of the games, generally gladiators did not die in combat. Like I said, it's a money business. People trying to gain more money, and how do you make that money? You have to fight. So they didn't always die in battle, and that's one thing in the media and then like in the movies they sometimes get wrong, because not everybody died in a battle. And also, it was common for gladiators to fight beasts across the Roman Empire: rhinos, lions, elephants, bears. Whatever the Roman empires would find on their conquest, they would bring it back to Rome. They have their gladiators fight them. Phew. It's entertaining, huh? Sounds like it. Back in the day, man fighting rhino, you would watch that. In those times, definitely. And if you're lying, you are lying if you say otherwise. Come on now. So let's get into the parallels between the sports. Both are very violent in nature, and the fans love the violence. That's why they watch it. They can't get enough. NFL times and today, modern times, grown men hitting each other at collisions at like 15 miles per hour. Back in the day, like I brought up before, man versus beast, man versus man. It doesn't matter what era you're in. People love that. Fans love that. That's why they pay hundreds and thousands of dollars, millions of dollars, really, to have stadiums, billions. All right, so let's get to the parallels of the sport. Both very violent in nature. Obviously, NFL, man on man, 15 mile per hour collisions with pads on, big, fast, strong. Fans love that. And when you look at the old times in ancient Rome with their battles, same thing. Man versus man, man versus beast. Violence. Fans love that. They pay a lot of money to see that. That's a spectacle to a lot of people throughout history. Violence. Think about that. And also, both sports connected the working class people in their era. NFL, blue collar sport, working man, work hard. Same thing, the gladiators. It was the average Joe that really, gravitated to these athletes, to these superstars. And then when you think about it, military-wise, very similar again. Ancient Rome, they used the gladiator games to influence the younger generation to go out and join the army, to join the conquest. Same thing with the NFL. Promotes military. Propaganda. America's the best nation in the world. Same thing. And again, both time periods, the poor used this, and in both time periods, the poor used these sports as a pathway out of poverty and into fame and fortune. For the poor or for the non-citizens in Roman, and these gladiator schools offered a trade, regular food, housings of sorts, and a fighting chance at that fame and fortune. Sounds kind of familiar, right? Sounds like the NCAA. Offered a trade. I mean, being a professional football player is a trade. That's the next step, stepping stone to the pros. Regular food. NCAA athletes in Division I get free food now at the cafeterias. Free housing, dorms, and a fighting chance at fame and fortune. They have fame on the NCAA level. If you're a Division I athlete and you start, still got to fight for that fortune, though. Similar. Again, gladiators were local superstars, and the Colosseum was the biggest arena in this empire. I visited twice, toured the stadium twice. Beautiful. And not much has changed on how a sporting event is held. The infrastructure and science of the different viewpoints of the stadium, the seating, how the hallways, maneuver the people into where they need to go. It's pretty much the same way and the same thing we do today, just with a little minor tweaks. And maybe just we have a little bit more sophisticated precision tools. But I mean, even thousands of years ago, humans were very smart. And it's remarkable to see, the Coliseum that has lasted so long stack up to some of the most modern stadiums today, and the backbone of how to hold a sporting event, doesn't waver a lot through generations, through centuries and millenniums. So, which is pretty cool to think about. And what's pretty cool about the Coliseum, which people don't know, I'm dropping fun facts now. The Coliseum actually had a retractable roof. Italy's hot. Fighting in the hot summers in Italy, it's rough. When I was out there in May. It was like 90 degrees, humid. That's tough. But you know how the Romans get down. They love to entertain. So they definitely had a retractable roof to make sure that their fans had a good time watching. They also had, I don't know how you would say it, how we have mobile playing fields today, how you have, an NBA court and then the hockey rink. You have the hockey rink under the, the basketball court. Well, actually, in ancient Roman times, what they did, this is pretty cool, hear this out. They had a draining system where they would take the canals of the water, because they had a really sophisticated water system in Rome. They would direct the water into the stadium, and they would fill the stadium up, and they would have battles with battleships, with men on these little small boats battling each other with water in the Coliseum. Unreal. And they said after that was done, they would do that in like the early afternoon. They would drain the Coliseum, and by night, for nightfall, they would be able to have, the main event matches. It would only take 4 or 5 hours for the whole stadium to drain of water after it was filled for the battleships. Unreal. Sounds like something we kind of do today, huh? Real similar. Again, ticket scalpers, advertisements, billboards, bets. Has not changed one bit. They did that all back in the day. We're still doing it now. Humanity, bro. Humanity. And so even on a deeper level for these athletes, on a personal level, there's really only one goal in mind in each sport. And so for the ancient gladiator times, the rudis was what the goal was. And what the rudis is a wooden training sword given as a symbol for emancipation, aka freedom. That's their Super Bowl ring. That's their trophy. Because once again, they were slaves. So when they got that rudis, that means they didn't have to fight no more. They reached the top. And then with the NFL, the Super Bowl champion, obviously, they're already free. But figuratively, they lose that loser stigma. They're free of that loser stigma. And that's what the Super Bowl championship brings. So think about that. And these superstar fighters had owners, they had trainers, and they had agents, just like they have today, all marketing them, exploiting them for their fights or, for their talents. Gladiators fought like 2-3 times a year. Few gladiators survived more than 10 matches. On the high end average, the average age at death was 27, but that's super high. Other accounts say that the most common ages to die were between the ages of 18 and 25, and most of them died after only a couple matches. And when you think about the NFL lifespan, it's only 3.3 years. Pretty comparable. I mean, the NFL players live on after that, but their profession's only for 3.3 years on average. It's comparable. And so this is really what I wanted to get into. This is what I think we should all strive to be. We should all try, in whatever profession we try to get in, any industry, anything we want to do, we want to be the greatest out of it. We want to be the GOATs. We want to be remembered. That's the goal. To leave your mark on somebody, on everybody, in some way, shape, or form. That should be everybody's goal in this world, to leave their mark. How are you going to leave that mark? And again, this is a sports show, so we relate it back to sports. And so I'm excited to talk about the comparison of GOATs. Tom Brady, obviously the GOAT of the NFL. And like I said before, if you take Spartacus out of the equation, he is the single greatest gladiator to ever fight in ancient Rome. His name is Flama. Now, Flama, he's Syrian nationality, so he's not Roman, but I'm about to drop down the stat lines for both these men. Then I'm going to explain why. I'm going to explain why they are who they are and why they're going to be remembered and why Flama is still remembered and how Tom Brady is still going to be remembered thousands of years from now, if the human race makes it that long. So I'm going to break it down. First, I'm going to go through Flama's career. And again, remember, keep the professional lifespan in mind when I drop these stats. So for the gladiator, 34 matches, and his win-lose-draw record was 21, 4, and 9. He was a 4-time Rudis Award winner. Remember what I said. Rudis means it's a trophy symbolizing your freedom. He won it 4 times. He declined all 4. He died at the age of 30. Now let's go to Tom Brady's career stat line. Still playing, but right now 17 seasons, 7 Super Bowl appearances, about to go to his 8th. 5 Super Bowl victories. Still playing at quarterback at the age of 40. Let those career stats sink in for both and take in consideration their lifespans in their profession, what the average success rate is. It's pretty astonishing. Very astonishing. And we look at historically, we're still remembering Flama now, thousands of, years ago. It's very comparable to what Brady is doing. And what Tom Brady is doing is not just historical on a football level of things. It's historical on the whole earth sense of things. What he's doing in the athletic realm of the world is historical. He's in a category that not many people are in the history of the world. And he's supplanted himself in that. He will be remembered for another 1,000 years. If sports are still around and humans are still around, Tom Brady will still be remembered. It's crazy. And think about what makes them great. when I read those stats off. Think about what makes them great. Like I said, for Flama, 4-time Rudis Award winner. 4 times. He declined all 4. He did not want to be free because he just loved to fight. That's obsession. That's passion of what you're doing. He rather be a slave, have an owner, than not fight, not be in the ring, not have the fans around cheering him on. That's why he's remembered, because he didn't want to get out. He had the obsession of being great and at what he loved doing. And that's why he's going down in history. And now, Spartacus, he was, a great gladiator too, but he had a different historical influence. He, I guess, led a revolt and stuff like that. But strictly what Flamo's doing is what Tom Brady's doing. He's riding this thing out. Tom Brady is age 40 right now. There's usually a cliff for quarterbacks at the age of 40. They usually just tank. He's fighting that. You know why he's fighting it? Because he's obsessed. He's obsessed with football. He wants to keep doing it. He doesn't want to stop. And I guess, fortunately, in Tom Brady's case, most likely 99.9% chance he won't die on the field. But figuratively, he will. But he's going to ride it out. You could essentially say that Tom Brady's Rudis was last year's Super Bowl victory. Down 28-3, high-flying Atlanta offense, third quarter, you somehow come back and win the game. That's how you go out on top. That is how you go out on top. How can you top that? I don't know. Maybe he will someday down the road. Not this year versus the Birds, but maybe 2 years from now. I don't know. But I think he gave up his Rudis, bro. I think he's going to go out like Flama, just die on the field. Like it's going to be a crash and burn. It might not be for another 4 years, but he gave up that happy ending. And I got to respect it. I truly respect it because that's passion. I respect passion. And that's why he's the GOAT, the greatest of all time. That's why he will be remembered. So while a lot of people hate, you just have to respect. You might not like the man. You might not like what he's about or what he does, but you have to respect the sheer passion he puts into his profession. I know I respect it. I aspire to be somebody similar to him. Even similar to Flama, just put so much effort into what you love that you're willing to die for it. That's what it's about. So that's the comparison. Again, the stat line for Flama, 34 matches, 21-4-9 draws, only lost 4 times, 4-time Rudis winner, freedom. He gave it up. He didn't want it, and he died when he was 30. Tom Brady, 17 seasons, about to be 8 Super Bowl appearances, 5 Super Bowl wins, still playing at the age of 40. Remarkable. And then I just wanted to dive in to what the New England Patriots are doing historically in comparison to the other sports kingdoms out there, I would say. When you think of the Yankees, the Celtics, Lakers, Manchester United over in England, Barcelona up in Spain, the Pittsburgh Steelers, Dallas Cowboys. Like I said, you think of sports kingdoms, legacies that time in and time out have produced superstars after superstars, championships after championships. Now you have to add the New England Patriots in that realm. They're a kingdom. And they're, I would say, a new age, new money kingdom because their history isn't as illustrious as all these other programs. Now, I understand that, historically they might not have almost 100 years worth of success like these other organizations, but what they did in a 17-year span with Tom Brady is unprecedented. Unprecedented. No other organization I just listed off has done what the Patriots have done in a free agent era, salary cap, not having the best talent. What team did I just name off didn't have the best talent to win those championships? Obviously, Tom Brady is the best quarterback to ever play, but the talent around him, come on now. Manchester United, their whole starting 11 are ballers. They're, over time, they literally have the top 50 players on their starting 11. Manchester United consistently. Yankees, legends all over the place. Celtics, Lakers, same thing. Legends throughout history. Barcelona, the same. Pittsburgh, Dallas, legends. New England, really only 2 legends. Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. Yeah, they had great players. They have a couple Hall of Famers outside those 2. But flat out legends, only 2. And they did a lot of damage. And that's going to go down in history. That's going to be remembered. So I just wanted to bring that historical context in today about what New England has been doing, Tom Brady, and how that compares to, almost 1,000 years ago. And a lot of things do match up still today. So I think it's a little interesting take. But now let's get into the game analysis of actually what I think is going to happen. So let's get into it. So on the macro level of things about this game, I personally believe this is probably going to be the best coach Super Bowl that we have seen in some time. Both coaching staffs are elite in their own right. The Pats have been doing it for so long. The budding Eagles, young, new coaches, highly talented, talent on each side of the ball, coaching-wise. And I think the second half will be something to watch in this game. Because you know how the Patriots always adjust at halftime. But the Eagles adjust too. And we play our game. We have not shied away or strayed away from our game all year. We followed our script, and Doug is a really good coach. We have to give him credit. So I think this is going to be a really, really coached game. We have Doug calling plays, Jim Schwartz on our defense, going against Tom Brady with Bill Belichick at the helm, Matt Patricia, Josh McDaniels. I think it's going to be a really, really good game. I think it's going to be close, but I think it's going to be nip and tuck. I think each team is going to, burn each team in each ways. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of mistakes. Hopefully, at least on the Eagles side, not a whole lot of mistakes. And I'm not going to give my prediction of the score until Sunday. So if you follow me on Instagram, Snapchat, anything like that, peep out my prediction on Super Bowl Sunday when I'm in the building. Yep, I'll be in Minnesota, reporting live, definitely for the turnaround. Gots to. But let's get into the reasons why I feel like the Eagles will win. I'm not going to get into prediction, but here are the reasons why the Eagles will win. So I rewatched Super Bowl 39 in 2004. And there's a couple things I want to bring up. First, Donovan McNabb, I don't want to, clown on him, trash on him. He was a great quarterback for us. I feel like he's borderline Hall of Fame. He should get in my opinion, eventually. He had all the talent in the world watching that game. And I was young then. I was only 7, so I really didn't remember the game. So me going back and watching it, now when I really understand the game and understand the context, talented quarterback, very talented. No wonder why we went to 5 NFC championship games. But that Super Bowl told me all what I needed to know about Donovan. All what I needed to know. He wasn't built to win games like that. He was built enough to get there. But to win games, that's why we only went to one Super Bowl with him, man. So much talent. But mentally, it was not fully there. He just didn't have the juice. And I saw that. You could see it in the game. If he had any type of juice Carson had, we may have won a couple Super Bowls. But he didn't, so that's why we didn't win any. Doesn't mean he didn't do a lot of great things for our organization. Still a lot of great positives, but he just wasn't the Super Bowl winning quarterback we needed, especially with the talent we had. And also a couple of notes about that game. Back then, man, the Patriots defense was stacked. Rodney Harrison, Willie McGinnis, Teddy Bruschi, Mike Vrabel, Richard Seymour, Asante Samuel. Ty Law was hurt in the Super Bowl for that game, but he was still on the roster, and they had some really darn good defenses back in the day for that first run of 3 championships in 4 years. They had a dope defense, but they don't now. This is the worst Patriots defense ever in the Super Bowl. Ever. They were ranked 29th overall in 2017, the 30th in rushing defense, letting up 114.8 yards per game. No real pass rush threat outside of James Harrison for maybe 20 plays. Respectable 42 sacks. Not too worried. Again, our offensive line is elite. Secondary is very good. Not great. Not too worried. Not afraid to throw anybody to anybody on that side. So I think we're straight on that end. Typical bend don't break team as well, with no real superstars on defense. They were 5th in points allowed in the games, only averaging 18.3 points a game. That's pretty good. But then when you go into yards, bend don't break, they're 28th, giving up 361 yards per game. It's a lot of yards for a championship caliber team. It's because you have Tom Brady. And so, again, like I brought up, the reasons why the Eagles will win. Offensive line is elite. Running game favors us versus their defense. I think we have a chance to run all over them and make sure that Tom Brady doesn't have enough time to rip us apart, even with our good defense. I don't think Foles will have to worry about consistent pressure in his face when he throws. I think we have a good game plan for him. He'll get a lot of open throws, and he'll just drop them in there. I think he'll thrive in the pocket, well-coached plays, run pass option, that RPO people love to talk about today. The play-action game's good with him. Throw a couple deep balls on them, I think will be good. I think the Eagles will get to Brady as well. We run our defensive line at least 8 deep every game. And the teams that have beaten Brady in the past in big games came with relentless pass rushers every play. New York with Justin Tuck and Michael Strahan and them boys. Denver with Von Miller, DeMarcus Ware and company. And so when I look at the Eagles, we're 4th best in defense in the league this year. Only 38 sacks, but we got consistent pressure, and we had the most pressures in the league by quite a bit too. We had the most pressures by quite a large margin, and we produced pressure on QB dropbacks 40.8% of the time. That's almost half. That's almost once out of every 2 times the quarterback drops back, he got pressure. He has to deal with something. Almost 1 out of every 2 plays. It's pretty good. That's a formula to beat Brady. We just got to do it. But obviously, You have to execute. And if you don't execute versus the Patriots, things get sketchy. So here's a couple things that I worry about the Eagles, and this is what could, make me have a heart attack if they happen. The Eagles made major mistakes in all three phases in both playoff games they played this year. In the Falcons versus the Vikings, all three phases made mistakes early on. We're playing the Patriots. If you make mistakes against this team, you will lose. You will lose. Donovan McNabb threw 3 interceptions in that Super Bowl game in Super Bowl 39. 3. And we still lost by 3. We can't have those mistakes. Because if they get those turnovers, if we make mistakes, they will capitalize. But also, the mistakes comes in forms of turnovers, penalties, missed challenge calls, clock management, wasted timeouts, bad play calling. For the most part, we've done that really well all year. I've liked Doug's play calling. Clock management, I've thought has been pretty superb. I like when he goes for it on 4th down. Sometimes challenges are up in the air. But for the most part, I feel like as long as he keeps doing what he's doing, he can stack up with Belichick. If he just plays his game, doesn't get too out of pocket, he will be fine, and the team will be fine. But the other thing you really have to worry about is Tom Brady being Brady. He is never out of a game, like we saw last year, being down 28-3. He's never out of the game. And that brings me back to the historical context. When you're going against somebody of historical stature, usually for the most part, even the greats aren't perfect. He's lost. Most greats have lost at some point because they're fighting the best. That's how it should be. But Brady fighting to stay in the game at 40 and to keep validating himself, that's what makes him legendary, because consistently he keeps doing that. And that's why he's going to be remembered at the end of the day. But, the Eagles are chasing history as well. We are trying to get our figurative rootus, our freedom. We are trying to free ourselves from the ghosts of the past haunting us for almost 60 years, not having a Super Bowl ring in our city. And that's what we're trying to be free of. And I think we're going to get it done. Once again, I'll be live at the game. Hopefully, I'm going to get produce a documentary out of this. But we'll see. That's the turnaround for the day. Before I sign off, I just want to dedicate this episode to my pup that passed away today. I want to dedicate this podcast episode to Dexter Turner. Shout out, almost made it 12 years, a Black Labrador. You gave me so much love, so much compassion through your years, and you helped our family through a lot. So I just wanted to give you a shout out on my show, and I'm gonna keep grinding for you, Dexter. So I know you're gonna be in dog heaven looking over us. But that's all I have for the turnaround today, y'all. Once again, I'm going to be at the game. Peep my Snapchat, Instagram for the prediction on Super Bowl Sunday, Episode 2, Super Bowl Spectacle Special. I'm signing off. Deuces.